Doing this beautiful Wednesday morning.
I'm beautiful. I'm good. Thank you so much, Wilson. Good morning to you. Good morning, Anu Oluwapo Stevens. It's
All
a
right.
beautiful day here. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and we're grateful to be alive. Trust you're good.
Yes, I'm good, Mercy. I love the way you said I'm beautiful, I'm good. Both ladies smiling. Something might have happened last night. Should be connected to your bank account. That's the reason why the smiles and all that. Well, like I said, if you can't see what Mr. President is doing, maybe, just maybe you need a pair of glasses to see what the man is doing. That's what the trending right now on the social media. You get to see Mr. President with some pairs of glasses saying Nigerians that are saying that they cannot see my work, they can't feel the impact. I think you need this to really scrutinize the economy, to really scrutinize, so many wonderful things that this administration have done for this beautiful country. And are you with one of those glasses?
Well, interestingly, we're all putting on glasses right there in Lagos and also here in Benin. So it seems we're taking a great deal from what our president said. I think it was on Monday. And he made that comment in Abuja where he had a meeting with the Renewed Hope ambassadors, if I'm to put it that way, where he said opposition parties and some Nigerians are saying they're not seeing any of the good dividend of his administration and told them to have the glasses on. Well, while some persons felt it was a bit shady, there are those who actually would say, okay, maybe we should actually have another glimpse of how this administration has fared so far in terms of the economy, agriculture, and electricity as well, which is also another conversation that a lot of Nigerians at this point do not want to hear.
Well, maybe you should put on one of those glasses you recommended, to see. You are not seeing clearly yet. Miss Selena, are you one of those glasses recommended for you to see what this administration has been doing? Mercy.
You can see that I have my glasses on, so maybe when we all have our glasses on, maybe then we'll see what the president is talking about, because we are in Nigeria and we're seeing everything that has been happening. Is what he said, is it really what the people are saying? Nigerians kept complaining about a particular situation over and over and over again. Is there a solution to that problem? So let's just hope that the president, what he came out to say that, oh, Nigerians, you're not seeing what I'm doing. You're not seeing what I'm doing. And Nigerians, are we really seeing what the president is doing? That's a question. Are we really seeing the works? Especially now that 2027 election is just by the corner, it would come out to say these things. And the question is, are we seeing what the president is doing? We're in this country and we know what's happening in terms of insecurity and all.
All right, I just believe that it's like we need those glasses, really. Highly recommended for us to really, really see. We need to see.
The Renewed Hope glasses.
Renewed Hope glasses. Anyway, for the Benin studio, we'll be having the discussion about what is happening right now, pegging as president of interest form for the APC, for the presidential aspirant, right? 100,000 a million buck rather, 100 million naira. And of course for the governorship you have 50 million. I keep saying thousand, but I was thinking that's big, thousand, but it's in the millions. And how come you get to see the ruling party being the party that set the mark, so to speak? Yes, so to speak, for other parties to really follow suit. 100 million. And
it's a lot, really. And I don't think it's just the ruling party, because I also did hear another party, not sure which it is right now, the Accord Party. And then when you hear the monies, it's not in the thousand, it's not in the hundred, it's in the millions. And how many average persons can even afford it? It actually begs the question and sparks conversation regarding how expensive it is to run politics in Nigeria. And then for some persons, you now wonder why, when these persons get into power, all you want to do is to ensure that you are able to get whatever it is that you can get. Because when you spend that kind of amount on just the nomination form, now mind you, we also have campaign, you also need to sort out delegates, and you also need money to do some certain things before the deal day.
Yeah.
So running politics in Nigeria is pretty expensive. How many persons can afford it? And then every single time we have the conversation about youth joining politics, how many Nigerian youth can afford 100 million naira, 50 million naira to run for an office? But then again, on a second thought, some of these political appointees, they don't necessarily use their monies to purchase this farm. So they have like a group of friends who would say, I'm going to give you this certain amount of money, I'm going to give you this, and that's how it's all, accumulates to be able to purchase the farm. But then again, running election, running, political space in Nigeria is pretty expensive, and it's a conversation that we really should have.
And of course, our analysts are going to throw more light on that, because 100 million naira for presidency, 50 million naira governorship, you have 30, and of course, you now have the list, so to speak, right now, the states, houses of assembly, 6 million. I mean, but there was like, an adjustment for the youths and women. 50%, so to speak. I mean, that is like, okay, fine. Give it a tap on the back, they tried. But half of 100 is 50. Half of 50 is 25, and it just goes on and on. Like what you rightly opined. How many youths can really afford this? Are you saying the youths are the leaders of what? Tomorrow.
I wonder when that tomorrow will come, because I have been hearing that since I was when? KG3 or KG1, and we're still hearing it.
Still hearing it. Anyway, Mercy, let's get to hear from you what we should be expecting today from the Lagos studio.
All right, from Lagos, we would still be looking at insecurity, insecurity in concern, insecurity in focus, rising kidnappings in Nigerian concerned for stability. I mean, we've been seeing, we've been waking up to different stories every day. We saw the video of the old bus that was shot, and passengers, stories every day. You're traveling on the highway, you're being kidnapped, students are being kidnapped. I mean, we kept talking about insecurity by the day. I would say I'm tired of talking about insecurity, but it's kept happening. Some persons were even saying on all over social media that this money that this terrorists, they're requesting for, or you hear them requesting for 50 million, 60 million. What are they even doing with the money? And some persons were like, oh, they're using the money to purchase more weapons and and keep doing what they're doing. I mean, we are just what the people want, what Nigerians want is just a lasting solution to insecurity in the country, and it keeps occurring and occurring every day. When will it stop? I mean, the video we saw on the internet is really disturbing, and now those victims that were kidnapped, they've not even heard from them yet. They shot the drivers and kidnapped the passengers that were actually traveling. So it's really disturbing, and it's something we need to talk about. I mean, like I said earlier, we've been talking about insecurity, but until it ends, we'll keep talking about it. What will be the lasting solution to insecurity in Nigeria? So basically today we're looking at insecurity in Nigeria.
Well, if you take a look at the situation right now, like what she rightly said, we just can't stop talking about it. Today you talk about it, tomorrow you get to see another situation. Yesterday my heart was shattered. The driver eliminated on life according to some persons kidnapped. And what really touched my heart was when some JAM students, right, they were kidnapped also, but immediately that news broke, so to speak, JAM denied it. The police, they denied it. All of a sudden, the news resurfaced that it's true. What in the world is happening? It's troublesome. It's quite worrisome. I know it's like traveling from Benin right now to Lagos, or going through some other means to get to your destination. You have to fast. You have to pray. You have to do so many things just to call on the gods of the land to protect or give you a safe journey to your destination.
It's not funny.
It's not.
But I love how you said the gods of the land. That really cracked me up. But then again, I mean, the conversation has come to stay. Insecurity. Aside the insecurity part of the roads, even though right now some persons will say traveling by road seems to be a death trap, the poor state of the road is another major thing. Have you traveled lately using the east-west road or just the one going down to Delta State? Now that really is a lot. But moving back to Lagos, the Benin-Lagos Expressway, and what was so happened, it's really a tragic situation. Right now, a lot of persons will have to rethink and have a second thought just before plying the road. We're having this conversation off camera, and then someone said, if I don't have that money to go by air, I am not making that journey. Now, the big question is, how many Nigerians can afford to fly? How many? The other day, Pella was saying civil servants cannot even afford to travel to another country, right? And that sparked a lot of conversation, but it's the reality. How many Nigerians, how many civil servants can afford to go by air? Now, this is the conversation here, but we pray that the right thing should be done, and also the man who lost his life, may his soul rest in peace. We do not want to see this situation occur every single time. But mind you, this is not even the first time we're having such case happen in that particular access.
Road, yes,
because we've had the report on TMI socials with that same place, and just again yesterday we had the same report on TMI socials. Really a sad one.
Well, it's quite disturbing, and it's time for us to really put this aside for now to make way for our corporate trader. You know that Tano Sakara, call him the astute corporate trader. Today I wonder what he has in store for us, but I believe that when you get to listen to him, definitely you're going to pick one or two things, yes, from his own lecture for this morning. So we'll make way for Inwagata, after which we'll take a look at the papers from our Lagos studio. Then we'll tee off our first discussion segment for today, which is all about the price tag on nomination cum expression of interest funds. Do stay.
Inuarata no Sahai, East Miami Ebone, and I especially welcome you to this segment of the program. And we have been on our emotional intelligence series, driving workplace effectiveness, team effectiveness, organizational effectiveness with emotional intelligence. And last week I started the fifth component of emotional intelligence, which is social skills. And social skills is your ability to be able to effectively manage relationship towards achieving desired outcome. As a leader, it is very important that in that work environment, in that organization, in that team, in that system, it is very important that you are able to effectively manage relationship in order for you to achieve desired outcome for the team, for the organization, and for that system. Now, social skills is the coming to life of the other four components of emotional intelligence. Social skills is the other first 4 components of emotional intelligence coming into physical demonstration. What are the other 4 components of emotional intelligence? Self-awareness, which help you to be aware of how your emotions impact your team. Self-regulation, which help you to stay composed, which help you to maintain your steez, as we say in our environment, even under pressure. Then we have empathy, which help you, to be concerned with what people are going through. It helps you to sense their needs and sense their perspective. Then we have motivation, which help you to be resilient in the pursuit of goals. And this help you to also inspire your team members to be resilient in pursuit of goals. So as a leader, your effectiveness, your leadership role, your leadership responsibility will no longer just be a function of your expertise. You need to also know how to work with people, work through people, work well with people. And that is where social skills come into the conversation. Social skills is a non-negotiable skill that you must have as a leader in your skill set in order for you to always deliver on leadership expectations. This is very important. And the way we have been handling this series since it started, we have been using case scenario to practically explain the point, explain the concept, so that you have a good grasp of what the concept is all about, and you always be reminded of it in order for you to apply it practically in your organization, as a leader in your team, and in that system where you are working as a leader. Now, the case scenario we are going to use this morning is a very interesting one. It's about the student union government president of a particular federal university exhibiting the emotional intelligence component of social skills. SUG president exhibits emotional intelligence component of social skills. So I'm just going to go through the case scenario, and then we'll see what we can glean from it. A newly constructed 300 capacity lecture theater funded by an international NGO was strategically located on the boundary between the Faculty of Management Sciences and the Faculty of Engineering in the Federal University. Shortly after its completion, a dispute arose. The president of the Faculty of Management Sciences students argued that the lecture theater should belong to their faculty, since most of their lecture courses required such a facility. On the other hand, the president of the Faculty of Engineering students insisted that the facility was more suited for engineering students due to their technical classes and population size. Tensions escalated quickly. Students from both faculties began to exchange hostile remarks. Social media platforms within the school community amplified the disagreement. There were threats of protests and disruption of academic activities. At this point, the president of the Student Union Government, SUG, stepped in. Now, we are going to see how the president of the Student Union Government of this particular federal university engaged the emotional intelligence component of social skills, and it has, remember I told you that, the emotional intelligence component of social skills is a physical demonstration of the other 4 components of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, and empathy. Social skills bring them to life. Number one, we are going to look at the first approach that the Student Union Government, president of that particular federal university, first thing he did regarding resolving this dispute. Step 1, self-awareness and self-regulation. The SUG president organized the SUG president recognized the emotional intensity of the situation and acknowledged personal pressure to take sides. However, instead of reacting impulsively, the president deliberately maintained neutrality and composure. During initial interactions, even when both faculty leaders spoke aggressively, the SUG president remained calm, controlled tone and body language, and avoided making premature judgment. Self-awareness and self-regulation playing out. Step 2, empathy and active listening. Rather than imposing a quick decision, the SUG president scheduled separate meetings with both faculty presidents. In each meeting, the president listened attentively without interruption, acknowledging their concerns and frustrations, asked clarifying questions to fully understand their positions. The management sciences president emphasized overcrowded classes and timetable clashes. The engineering President highlighted specialized course needs and increasing students' population. By doing this, both parties felt heard and respected, which reduced their defensiveness. Step 3, effective communication and relationship management. Remember, social skills is your ability as a leader to effectively manage relationship towards achieving desired outcome. And this is what the student union government of this particular federal university exhibited in this case scenario that we are looking at. It's very important you take note of that. Step 3, effective communication and relationship management. After gathering insight, the SUG president organized a joint mediation meeting. At the meeting, ground rules were established: respectful communication, no interruption. The SUG president reframed the issue from ownership to shared benefit. Remember, the management science student faculty president was insisting that they own the lecture theater, that is in the boundary between them and the faculty of engineering. The engineering, students president was equally holding ground that they own the theater, but the SUG president changed the narrative and he pushed it from ownership to shared issue of shared situation. Said the SUG president reframed the issue from ownership to shared benefit, emphasized a common goal, which is improving learning conditions for all students. Using clear and balanced communication, the president summarized both perspectives in a way that showed fairness and understanding. Step 4, influence, collaboration, and conflict resolution. Instead of declaring a winner, the SUG president proposed a collaborative solution. The lecture theater will be jointly managed by both faculties. A structured timetable will be created, allocating usage based on course size and priority. A joint faculty committee would oversee scheduling and maintenance. Peak academic periods like tests and revision would be fairly negotiated. Initially, both parties resisted. However, the SUG president used persuasion by highlighting the risk of continued conflict like academic disruption and loss of goodwill. Then emphasizing fairness and long-term benefits, reinforcing shared ownership as a symbol of unity. Gradually, both faculty presidents agreed. Then what became the outcome? The conflict was resolved without escalation into protests or violence. The students from both faculties gained access to the facility in an organized manner. The relationship between the two faculties improved to the joint management structure. The SUG president earned credibility as a fair and emotionally intelligent leader. Now, to conclude, what are the leadership lessons from this case scenario? 3 leadership lessons as I conclude. Leadership lessons from the case scenario. 1, emotional control builds credibility. Emotional control builds credibility. A leader who manages their emotions under pressure creates stability in tense situations. Calmness allows for clearer thinking and better decision making. Take note of that. Then 2 leadership lessons from this case scenario. The second leadership lesson. Listening is more powerful than immediate action. Very powerful. By listening first and understanding all perspectives, leaders reduce resistance and build trust, making solutions easier to implement. Then the 3rd leadership lesson from the case scenario. Collaboration outperforms competition in conflict situations. Collaboration outperforms competition in conflict situations. The best leadership outcomes often come not from choosing sides, but from creating systems where all parties feel valued and included. This is very, very important. Remember, we are looking at the emotional intelligence component of social skills, where all the first previous components of emotional intelligence are physically demonstrated. And this was exactly what the Student Union Government President or this particular federal institution exhibited in managing this situation between the Faculty of Management Science students and the Faculty of Engineering. I believe that profound value have been added to you today. I know you want to send your questions and inquiries across. That is why my email is always there, inuagata@gmail.com, INUAGHATA, inuagata@gmail.com. Send your inquiries, send your questions, and then I provide answers to you, and then we are able to build a better workplace for ourselves, build better system and society for ourselves, and at the end of the day, build a better country and even a better world for ourselves as well. I'll be seeing you next week, Wednesday, and when I return, I will still be the amiable Inuagata No Sahai. God bless you.
the land of Owa is inhabited by the people with common ancestry, language, religion, economic and socio-political ties. However, irrespective of their subtitle differences in language and culture, they share common traditions. The people are known for their hospitality. Owan traced their origin to Benin Kingdom as a result for a man to find a comfortable place for living. The name Owan was derived from the largest and longest river in the area, which is known as Onwian or Onwan. It means one who makes merry in affluence.
We're still on CMI this beautiful morning on ITV, and now we would be reviewing the papers. Do where to grab a copy. Okay, the first paper we'll be looking at is the New Telegraph newspaper. The New Telegraph newspaper, the big headline there says Tinubu replaces Finance Minister Edun, Housing Ministers Dangiwa. You get that on page 4 on the New Telegraph newspaper. Another headline there says rice slashed duty to boost Nigerians' import value. So $1.21 billion. You get that on page 17 on the papers. Another one says alleged coup, federal government slams 13 treason charges on Sylvia, 6 others. You also get that on page 2. Court sets today for arraignment. You also get that on page 2 on the New Telegraph newspaper. Another one there says terror war, Amin deserves commendation, not vilification. Presidency. You get that on page 2 and also on page 5 on the papers. Another headline that says air pollution raises cancer risk by 11%. Global Report warns. You get that on page 30. Do well to grab the papers and go through them. All right, moving on, we'll be looking at the Punch newspaper. The big headline on the Punch newspaper this morning says Silva, 5 others arraigned, officers' wife seek justice. You get that on page 2. All right, it says as Bayelsa governor and others may bag life imprisonment if convicted. You get that also on page 2 on the Punch newspaper. Retired generous police inspector among 6 faces 13 courts treason. Terrorism charges. You also get that on the papers. Another writer says wives of military officers seek justice for detained spouses. Get that on the paper also. Another headline there says the crisis court against Iron Neck chair. That on page 9 on the Punch newspaper. Cross River COVID-19 cases sparks NCDC concerts tracing. You get it on page 7 on the papers this morning. Another one says trial El Rufai may miss a presidential. You get that on 18 also on the paper. Oil 2027, Adelabu may resign after Tinubu's meeting. You get that on page 2 on the Punch newspaper. More PDP reps defect to APC. ADC. You get that on page 7 also on the papers. Gunmen kill female man of war officers in Oyo Highway ambush. You get that on page 5 and also on page 4 on the paper on insecurity. Another headline there says Abure vows appeal after court okays Usman LP chair. You get that on page 29 on the Punch newspaper. The newspaper. The Nigerian Tribune newspaper, the big headline says, pension Supreme Court has PDCs as motions at reps, lost farmers seats. You get that on page and also on 28 Nigerian news. Another headline there says, NAFTA strike hits some kill terrorists. You get 16. No 11 without making Miss Jonathan is at sea. That on page of Nigerian Tripper and says 19 return to Nigeria cross conferences with emergency response. You get that on page 16. Also on the papers. Another headline there says federal government to arraign alleged coup plotters on 13 courts charged today. You get that on page 2. And a writer says retired Major General as Naval Captain, serving police inspectors, and also 3 others listed. You get that on page 2 on the papers this morning. Another headline there says Al-Rufai to remain in ICPC custody till June. You get that on page 6. A writer says as court fails to rule on bail application. Check on page 6, you get that there. Another headline there says embassy's threat to broadcasters injurious to journalism, NGE. You get that on page 16 on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Another headline there says PDP crisis, Damagun orders commence contempt proceedings against Ayan and Amupitan. You get that on page 2 also on the papers. Another headline there says UBEC unlocks 100 billion naira on assessed funds to boost basic education. You get that on page 3 on the papers. On health, disinfectant sprays may quietly damage lungs. Experts. You get that also on page 6 on the papers. Okay, another headline, the pictures there says Tinubu removes Edu, names Oyedele as finance minister. You get that on page 6 on the papers. All right, that is for that. We're still on the newspaper review this morning. That is for that. That is on the Nigerian Tribune. Do take a look at the papers, go through the papers, and of course take a look at the details on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. We're still on the papers review this morning, and we have a guest here, Dr. Victor Ohai. Of course, he will be helping us analyze the papers this beautiful morning. We'll take a look still at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Let's take a look at the headline there. One of the headlines there. Dr. Victor, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. How are you doing today?
Not bad at all.
All right. Okay, so we saw one of the headlines on the Nigerian Tribune talks about the health. I mean, we'll experience COVID-19 a few years ago, and now we've seen that according to, reports, says Cross River confirms cases, activates emergency response on COVID-19, returns to Nigeria. Let's get your take.
Okay, it's good that they're able to identify it and start doing something, but I have to be honest with you, COVID has not left. It's been with us all the while. People have been having it on and off, except that it wasn't, I think there was so much alarm at the time. More people died out of fear than anything else. But I'm glad someone was able to identify it for what it is, isolate who it was in terms of saying this is a person that has it, and then they begin to do something about it. So that's good, and I hope that across the country, every other person begins to take the usual precautions.
All right, on the papers this morning, we saw that there are some alleged coup plotters. Now the federal government to arraign alleged coup plotters on 13 counts charged today.
Well, if there's anything I think the government has done right, it's this one, because usually what happens is people will be arrested and then they start looking for, they start investigating to find charges and all that. Of course, they have been arrested, but I mean, they've not been arraigned because they needed to gather enough evidence before arraignment. So we'll have to wait and see. You know, they've probably concluded. I think there were more names than this earlier on. So I think investigations have been concluded. It's now time for arraignment, and then I hope the trial is public. I certainly would love to hear, so that the public can also judge, and nobody comes and says they're being victimized.
All right, moving on, we're still on the papers review. Let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. The big headline on the Vanguard newspaper is still the alleged coup. Ex-Minister Silva, retired general, others charged with treason. You get that on page 5. And a writer says suspects to be arraigned at Federal High Court, Abuja.
Jonathan's reply?
To Atiku. I made mistakes, but I did my best.
That's a statesman. He's not there saying he's the best.
Yeah.
He says, yes, I made my mistakes, you know, but I did my best. Whether I was good enough, that's for posterity to judge, not for Atiku or anyone else to judge. You know, politicians will always rubbish people that in the opposing camp or whatever. That's a statesman's reply. And we'll all have to agree that he did his best. He also made his mistakes. His best may not have been good enough for a lot of people, but it is what it is.
So Tinubu removes Edun Dangiwa's ministers. What does it take?
Okay, so with Edun, I think I'm trying to recall the incident. There was an incident that was a bit embarrassing. I can't quite remember. But I also remember here that we had a discussion some time ago.
About
yes.
it, yeah.
Not about that. What the incident I'm talking about is quite different. But in this particular case, where the senator from Abia State, or the representative from Abia State, you know, challenged the minister for not, you know, executing the budget, not releasing money for projects and all that. And the minister, rather than own up to it, passed the box to his Minister of State. You know, he didn't take responsibility, you know. And because of that, so many projects were left on door. The budget was very poorly executed. Okay, so at that point, I think that exposed a big hole in the ministry. And so it was... That was something. But in terms of, I think what I wanted to talk about earlier on, there have been conflicts between the president's stand and Edun's stand on issues. I think there was one particular issue, I can't quite remember, where they publicly disagreed on policy matters concerning finance and all that. I think at that point, he may have lost out with the cabal.
All right, let's take a look at the last papers this morning, the Daily Trust newspaper. The Daily Trust newspaper, one of the headlines there says, FCT students sit WAEC exams amid teachers' strike. You get that on the papers, the Daily Trust. Another one says, Chinese quarantine for COVID in Cross River. You get that also on the papers. Another one says, NUT staff slums died on way to work. You also get that on the papers. That's so sad. Another headline there says, Labour Party fixes April 28th for convention, unveils committees. You get that also on the papers on page 18. You get that also on the papers. Another headline there says, despite intimidation, democracy will survive a precedent. You get that on page 22 on the papers. Another one says, El-Rufai to remain in custody till June. You also get that on the papers. Let's talk about El-Rufai to remain in custody before we round up.
There's a handshake that becomes, it looks like a wrestling match. There's absolutely no reason other than, some have said this is nothing but political witch hunting. There may have been reasons for arraigning him in the first place, but for keeping him yet, you know, and denying him bail, you know, freedom, bail after bail, smacks of political persecution. I think that is exactly what's happening right now, and that's not very good.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Victor Ohai, for your time.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Thank you all our viewers for joining on the Papers Revealed this morning. Do well to grab a copy of the dailies and go through them. We're still on CMI. I am Marcelina Unko. We'll be handing over to our Benin Network studio for the continuation on CMI. Just stay with us.
Some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Ugemobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is TMI Wednesday's edition, and we are definitely about to tee up our discussion from the Benin Network's Center Studio, where we're talking about parties, nomination, expression of interest, fees, and of course impact on quality of candidates. I know you're expecting to hear from Abuja Network Studio. Well, Tolu is standing by. Tolu, what should we be expecting today from your studio?
Yeah, from Abuja Network Studio, wonderful morning to you. From Abuja Network Studio, definitely be taking a look at the recent decision by federal government to step down some ministers right there. The Minister of Finance has also been generating a whole lot of interest because so many people think he's one of the core members of the kitchen cabinet of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and also the other ministers that were also told to step aside. With also the Minister of State for Finance being upgraded to the full minister right there, is also generating a whole lot of reaction. Some have been arguing probably the policies under Wale Edu really not really working well for an average Nigerian. Though on the national level, there seems to be an improvement in our economic policies, in the revenue being generated, and a whole lot of other things right there. But for an average Nigerian, they are feeling the brunt of the policies of government and not really helping them to improve their life. These are some of the things we should definitely be looking at from the Abuja studio right there, taking a look at some of these things.
Thank you so much, Tolu. Well, quickly, let's start off with our discussion in our Benin Network studio. With me here is a legal practitioner, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Barrister Faith Idemodia. Thank you so much for making the time to join us in the studio.
Thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure.
All right. And of course, join us virtually. We have Godsen Tirimose, one-time special assistant to former governor of Edo State on religious matters. Godsen, thank you so much for joining us via Zoom.
Good morning, Winston. Good morning, Edo State. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.
And of course, from Benin, also virtually, we have Pastor Henry. Pastor Henry, thank you so much for joining us. Can you hear me? You know what? Can you unmute yourself so we can hear what you are saying? Please unmute yourself. Can you hear me? All right. Well, let's quickly start off from the studio where we have Barrister Faith Demodia. Yesterday on the pages of the newspaper, we got to see the ruling party APC telling the world the fees they've pegged on the nomination forms, expression of interest form, and it's like, come on. To some Nigerians, this is not reasonable. Why to some others are saying, yes, kudos, 100 million naira, 50 million naira, 30 million, and it just goes on and on for the last 6 million naira to purchase the form from the ruling party, as against what we saw and previously on the social media. That's like, a reduction, so to speak. But some Nigerians are saying it is still too much. So how come ruling political parties seems to be the party that always comes up first? One, with the amount pegged on purchase of forms, and two, also, there seems to be the one or the party leading the trail in this kind of adventure, so to speak. 100 million for presidential nomination, expression of interest form. Barrister, take it up from there.
Thank you very much. Well, this is quite a critical and potentious issue ravaging our political and democratic system. And I would like to address it from two viewpoints. Yeah. First, looking at the legal framework as a lawyer and looking at the political undertones regarding all of this. First, the Constitution, which is the organic and supreme law of the land, it is the Constitution that gives life to the state itself. Constitution Section 40 provides for freedom to associate with any political party of your choice, for you to be able to associate. So far, it's legal. Section 42 goes further to provide for freedom from discrimination, you understand, on all grounds. However, for the relevance of this discourse, freedom from this social and economic disqualification, you understand, discrimination as it relates to this discourse. Now, going forward, imposition of such outrageous amounts, of such enormous fees on expression of interest, nomination form, can be well constructed and interpreted to be a violation of Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution on economic ground, because the Constitution states that there should be freedom from discrimination. So, but you are attaching such enormous amounts, such outrageous amounts on your expression of interest and nomination form. Looking at our economic realities, our present-day realities, looking at our PPP, purchasing power parity, how many average Nigerians can purchase this form? 100 million, 50 million. You see that 98% of Nigerians are already disqualified on economic grounds. So it does borders on the issue of, elitism and exclusion of vast majority of Nigeria. However, the same constitution goes further to say that, political parties are private organizations. They should be allowed to thrive and govern themselves, and as such, giving them political autonomy to self-govern themselves. So on that ground, a whole lot of judicial precedent over the years have said that political party can impose whatsoever fee they like, it is their own internal affair. But then this brings us to the issue of, it's ruining our democracy on the grounds that only very few Nigerians can partake of this, thereby defeating the purpose of democracy itself. You understand? Eroding the process of public and political and popular participation and the likes.
All right. I believe a God sent is waiting. I think you have a shot at him on this particular discourse.
Okay, now let's move over to God sent, joining virtually this morning. So a lot of Nigerians would really ask, so why do we still keep on having the same thing happen over and over and over again? Because first things first, this is not the first time we're running an election in Nigeria and hearing all of the humongous amounts being attached to nomination form, expression of interest forms, and it's becoming a tradition that has come to stay. What does this mean for the political landscape moving forward in Nigeria? God sent.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Well, I think you are, to some extent, in the process of asking your question, you just kind of brushed through my mind. Besides the expression of interest, exorbitant fee, you will agree with me that even other aspects of our democratic practices are not getting better by the day. Let me give you an example. I just wanted to infer from the question that you asked I want to infer something from there. Beside the expression of interest form and the nomination form, you realize that today, the basis of our campaign for elective positions still remains the same. We are not getting better. We are not advancing. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we heard we will give you water, we'll give you light. It's still the same campaign. Now, I just needed to let you know that even beside the expression of interest form and others, all other aspects of our democratic narrative, the story remains the same. Now, let me say this. I want to say that it is sad and it is perplexing. It is totally unacceptable. Like the legal gentleman have said there, we know that some of these political parties try to make an argument. You know, they try to give reasons for doing what they do and why they do what they do. But the critical question that every Nigerian should ask themselves is that, does this reason substantiate, does it give credence to the basis of a sexy amount pegged for party nomination or for, of course, expression of interest form? It is a capital no. Now, let me bring three aspects to your attention. When politics become run or driven on the basis of transaction, it means that we are not ready for the change that we advocate for. Now, let me explain what I mean by transactional. Anything that becomes transactional is called in our corporate world business. More often than not, it is not based on ideology. It is not based on antecedent. It is not based on intellectual capability. It is now based on the highest bidder. And that is very dangerous for our democracy, for our democratic practice. For example, there are a lot of young Nigerians that I know. There are a lot of Nigerians, both young and in their middle age, that have the capacity to lead this nation on all fronts. In fact, just recently, it was as if Winston was in the spirit. Permit me to say that. I was privileged to attend a meeting about a week ago in Abuja, where I saw some of the best and the brightest minds we have in this nation. And some of us that are passionate about a peaceful revolution, a change of the status quo, started advocating. Why don't you run? We can't continue to complain about the old narrative. And one of them said, where do we get the money? It is a money game. Now, what I'm trying to establish is when democratic practice have been reduced to the money bag, it means we are not ready for the future we have advocated about or talked about or we anticipate. Let me give you three examples. For example, if I need to be a president or a governor, now don't forget, there are two charges. It is not only the nomination form that an aspirant needs to pay for. He also needs to pay for the expression of interest form. These are two money put together. So we are, for the presidency, we are not just talking about 100 million, we are talking about 140 million, and so it goes, you know. Now, let me give you the implication. The implication is this. No matter, it affects both those that have nothing to offer and also those that have something to offer in governance. Now, just explain this scenario to you and hang on for now for my other discussant. Now, imagine I have to contest a particular position and I'm cash strapped. Now, first, to look for, quote and unquote, a godfather, to look for a sponsor. Or even if I'm not looking for a sponsor, imagine if my political ambition drain my finances. Imagine what I'm going to be taking if I eventually become the president or the governor or the honorable or a member of the House of Assembly, whether national or statewide. Now, it is no longer ideology. It is no longer policy development. Now, it is now run on the basis of transaction. Transaction in what sense? The man that has sponsored my election is going to be asking me for a payback. And when I do not have the money to give, I'm going to now start negotiating on the basis of contracts. What happens most times is that the person aspiring has already come to an agreement with the sponsor that when you finally get him, these are my areas of interest. When they say an area of interest, it means the area where I need so and so contract. This is my area of interest. Now, whether that so-called sponsor has the competence or the qualified to execute such contract is not in question. It is about paying back
I will come
the
back
money
to
I
you.
got. So our policies have been reduced sadly to cash and carry politics.
I will come back
which
to
is
you.
sad.
God sent.
Okay.
I will definitely come back to you. Well, Henry's not set yet. I would have loved to throw this question at him, but since you are here, Barrister, Godson said it's like politics right now is transactional. That the fatter, the bigger your bank account, the greater your chances of coming at tops when we talk about vying of political office. Is it now transactional?
Yes, obviously, by virtue of these exorbitant fees or a nomination and expression of interest form, it is obviously transactional. It is a commercialization of the whole process for the highest bidder. Those who have the fattest pocket, emerge. It is just like the pay-to-play politics, you understand? And it promotes a system whereby only the elite, only those who have the means to thrive can govern, giving us to the doctrine of plutocracy, whereby governance can only be done by those who are actually rich, wealthy, and all that. And in the long term, it erodes the actual process of democracy, whereby those who actually have the actual passion, competence, public service, and ideology, like my friend rightly said. So it removes us from there. It's just all about commercialization of the whole process, talking about money. And it's also a system whereby, the party uses it to raise income for themselves, just as monetary scheme and all of that. And you see situation whereby a lot of party chieftains, they don't want to contest for actual position. They just want to remain being party chieftain because they are doing the amount of money they are making in all of those processes. So you see it in the long run, it's actually destroying and ruining our democracy, and it's taking us backward. Because, if you spend so much amount of money like this, you will, obviously when you get into office, you want to recoup your investment. So it's an investment scheme. When you get into office, it promotes corruption, corrupt practices in the whole system. So it's really sad. And just going over to the Electoral Act 2026, Section 85 provides for what we call prohibition of extra qualification. It states that any qualification that is not imposed by the 1999 Constitution should be prohibited. However, scholars and political analysts can opine that imposing such outrageous amounts to extra qualification, because the Constitution itself does not provide that citizens must have enormous financial means to contest. So this can be seen as a violation of the spirit of Section 85 of the Electoral Act 2026. So I feel, what should be done is that we should have a form of legislative intervention to amend the Electoral Act. INEC should be giving the overall oversight to investigate into the finances of party as it relates to expression of interest and all of that. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, let's move back to Dr. Godson to join in virtually. What do you make out of the whole political system and how we run elections here in Nigeria? Do you think it is expensive with the amount of figures that we hear for nomination form, for interest form? Do you think, or expression of interest form, do you think it's really expensive? Because I did see a particular lady sometime showing us how things are done as regards campaign in China. And this particular man who had the interest of running for a governorship seat in one of the provinces in China was just standing there sharing flyers, and he had like 4 other persons on that same spot sharing the same flyer. But back here in Nigeria, if a particular person or an aspirant who has the interest of being either a governor or a president do same thing, I feel like even Nigerians themselves would say this guy is really not ready to rule the country. So is it just a situation of the political appointees, those in governance, the aspirant, or even the electorate also, get to play or have their own role in all of this and how politics is being run in Nigeria?
All right. I don't know if that was directed to me because at the time.
Yeah, it was directed to you.
Okay. Fine, my dear. Like we have already established, let me ask you a question. What is the basis of nationhood development? what makes a nation move from one level to another is a simple question. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with tribe. It has nothing to do with sentiment. But it has everything. Please take note of my words. It has everything to do with competence. It has everything to do with competence. I share in this view that even our legal system, our judiciary are not doing enough. You know, why did I say so? I said this because part of what we have observed for over 20 years of our democratic practice, since we left ministry, we have observed that the players of this system, those who benefit from this system, keep on ensuring that they maintain status quo, not because they care about the average Nigerians, but because they care about themselves. Now, my point to your question is that every actor, our actions and inactions are responsible for where we are today. I'm talking about both the electorate, the judiciary, and of course the political elites. We are all playing one role or the other. Like you just said, I know of a friend of mine some years ago, I wouldn't like to mention him, who was going for primary, not a very popular political party, but then they were coming at the time they hit the airway. Now, because he couldn't share money to what we call delegates, he ended up not winning that primary. Not because he was not bright, not because he was not good enough, not because he did not have the capacity to drive this nation, but because he didn't have enough money to buy the votes. Now, look at the implication of that. The implication of that is that we now have the worst of us governing the best of us. Nobody cares how I make the money. That is one implication. So the best of us in the present day Nigeria narrative is being governed by the worst of us. Then secondly, we now have a situation where even when competent, I'm talking about people with the capacity and intellectual power, have the ability to get into the corridor of power. There is a huge distraction. Now, there is another point. There is another point that it has graduated to. Now, this party internal politics is what I've also graduated to vote buying in the field. I'm sure you are aware of that. In date, we are trying to see the number of persons that have been persecuted, sent to jail as a result of vote buying. What we hear in every election is that people are arrested, people are caught, EFCC show up, or the DSS show up after a while, you know, end of story. Now, it has messed up the whole of the system. Now, politics is now a money game. When someone has the opportunity to serve in politics, what he's thinking about is how he can recoup money for his next political ambition. Because it's all about money. It's not about fairness. Now, again, there is no enough, the law seems to have given them a ground to continue to perpetuate this. There is no enough legal framework to checkmate these excesses. Now, what I mean is, for example, well, I think in the electoral law, the INEC has some role in monitoring electioneering spending, but of course, not party forms or expression of interest funds. When that electoral when that clause was first brought into the electoral law, how many aspirants or candidates during election have the INEC taken to court, prosecuted for overspending? So at the end of the day, we pay kid gloves. We know our problem, but we keep on giving excuses why we must continue to perpetuate our backwardness. I call it our backwardness because when money is left for the money bag, not only in politics, even in education, when people sponsor political aspirants, prospects, and they come into power, they are not there to serve you. I need Nigerians in those states to realize this. I can tell you that the benefit of the politicians we have today, I don't want to say everybody, they are not thinking about you. They are thinking of how to service their bank loan. They have to loan money to sponsor the bogus campaign, expression of interest fund, and of course, nomination fee.
Thank you.
They have to be the godfather who has given them conditions to say this is what must happen. This is when you become a leader. Now, tell me, how such a state or such a nation see development? Even when contracts are given out, the candidate or the governor or the president cannot judge the quality or the credibility of the execution of such contracts.
All right, Godson, thank you. Thank you so much. We are pressed for time, but about briefly, Barrister, because we'll move over to Lagos Network Studio. Now, do you feel that other political parties will follow suit? Briefly, we have to talk about Lagos right now. Do you see them following suit as saying APC, they've done it? What about other parties?
Oh yeah, sure, definitely. APC has set a very troubling precedent, being the ruling party. And as such, all other political parties will follow suit. However, it may not be as enormous as that of the ruling party because they are the ruling party, they are the incumbent, they have the platform already. But however, other parties will follow suit and also increase their prices, which is really troublesome.
All right, I know we have so much questions to ask, but you know we are pressed for time right now. I'll hand over to Ms. Selina Onkwo in our Lagos studio to continue with This Morning on ITV. Mercy, over now to you.
Well, still on CMI this beautiful morning, and we still have our guest here, Dr. Victor Ohai. Dr. Victor, good morning once again.
A pleasure. Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. So we're still looking at insecurity in Nigeria, the rise in kidnappings in Nigeria, concerns for stability of communities. I mean, we saw what happened recently at the Benin Ore Expressway, you know, where they shot the driver and they kidnapped the passengers. And at this point, are they saying that, oh, I mean, a lot of persons at this point would not even want to travel via road. So I mean, not everybody have the money to fly. You know, at this point, kidnapping in Nigeria has reached alarming levels, with over 1,000 people abducted in just a few months, from students to the entire villages. The scale and frequency suggest a system under serious pressure, arising urgent questions about insecurity and governance. This is what we've been facing in the country. I mean, I'm tired of talking about insecurity, but we'll keep talking about it because it keeps occurring and occurring and occurring. If we don't find a lasting solution, Dr. Victor, let's get your take.
I'm worried, genuinely worried. This is, or it does appear like an unending circle of disaster after disaster in our security, in the security space of Nigeria. And what worries me the most is that these kidnappers are among the richest people. Notice I'm not saying richest Nigerians, among the richest people in Nigeria today. Look at the vicious circle or unending circle. They kidnap one person, they take 30 million. A lot of people pay. Or out of 10 people in the vehicle, at least at the end of the day, they'll make between 30 to 50 million. The first time we realized how much of a business it was when Evans was smoked out and eventually arrested. So it just tells you that it's big business. We may look at herders, but it's probably organized crime as well. Okay? So if you kidnap, you make 30 million. You pay the people, they pay them peanuts, the actual people who execute it. Even if you give them 5 million, then you use another 5 to 10 million to buy arms. Yeah? You have about 10 or 15 million left. Then you organize another one again. And now I hear the money they're asking for are now in hundreds of millions, not even tens of millions anymore. And these people are getting the most sophisticated and up-to-date equipment. Because the raw material for their business, apart from the human capital, are the arms. Several times we've seen interceptions, lorry loads with bags of in between 1 or 2 of arms, bullets, in these lorries. People hardly check.
No, in the news yesterday, sorry to cut you
Yes.
short.
No,
In the
no,
news
it's fine.
yesterday on the news, we saw that police arrested bandits, logistics supplier linked to Plateau killings in Abuja.
That's exactly what it's in fact the supply chain for the kidnapping business will shock you. From those who provide food for them, provide vehicles, provide arms, provide, and there's so many. And then they have informants. They can afford anybody. Let's use Evans as a case example. He had informants. People will give him information about people, who are monitoring his targets, okay? And not only that, they pay people within the system as well, okay? So out of every 12, obviously, even the security force will agree that there are bad eggs among them. There'll be those, and I give an example. You remember the case of, is it Iyama or is it Iyamo, during the Anini case? A man of his rank in the police force was an informant to Anini rather, sorry. So what does that tell you? They can afford to pay people at the highest level. Now let's get back to the main issue here. What worries and bothers me is the fact that government does not yet know that this is war. The thing is, the people see more arms. If they will, now they're taking territories, okay? But incrementally, this get ambitious and we can take on the state. And I fear that if government does not respond early enough, that day may not be too far.
Dr. Victor, a lot of people are scared, a lot of are tired. Yesterday on the internet, the people, the indigenous of Plateau states, they came out to protest. They were angry. They came out to protest. They are demanding the exit of Nigerian military in their community, following the constant killing and Abani killers, despite still happening. So what is the essence of you being here? Just leave our villages so we know that we don't have military, personnel in the village. And some persons were saying, do you think this is the right idea?
Okay. I know the place very well. I understand the politics of the place well enough, if I may say, and I'm still very much in touch. There have been several cases, including commissioners accused at some time of aiding and abetting some of these raids in the villages. Here's the pattern. would they see these people coming in? If it's just that, it would have been okay. It's not okay, but I'm just saying. But what usually happens is these guys will raid the community, kill people, and then when these will rise up, because they're usually surprise attacks, when they rise up to defend themselves, protect themselves.
Yeah.
It's an unending circle. It has happened over and over and over. Attacking me, I want self, and but you are now making me. You are now accusing me. I'm now the criminal. Okay, it has happened over and over and over again. What do you expect the people to say? If they appear tired, it is so. I saw a video. I couldn't watch that video of a woman. Only the mother of most people, let me put it, naked. She was leading a group of naked women in the plateau. I remember I saw the age of that was killed at that Angwan Rukuba attack, where she went to the mortuary just before it was buried. Spoke to him, it was his birthday that day.
Yeah.
And then she said to him, he was in house, I speak the language to understand. She told him, she said she was hungry, she had not eaten for days, but now she's going to eat.
Yeah.
And then put it in his arms, go and revenge for me. It might look like nothing. That had spiritual actions. When it's on rampage, you can't catch it, you can't arrest it. The people on the plateau have cried for too long. Those villagers, I'm in support of them. Of what use are the military and the police if these things keep happening over and over? They are custodians. They intelligence. They are supposed to protect them. They are the ones who say happen should go after the perpetrators. But instead, they just come in between them and start arresting them.
And we also saw the video during the attack in the governor.
And by the way, there have been several more after that.
Yeah, yeah. Where the governor, went there to tell the people that at this point you don't need to take laws into your hands. And I mean, all these terrorists, they're taking laws into their heads. So why telling the people? Because at this point, Nigerians, or these people, they feel we protecting ourselves is the best option. Since the government cannot protect us, let's get
What I'll say to the governor is, okay, the people should not do that. Why don't you empower them, empower them to be able to defend themselves. There are vigilant groups, okay, who can be legitimately opted into the system. Okay? Who like groups said, the town is literally, and I mean literally, divided into two. There is a Muslim part and there is a Christian part. Muslim part, Muslim that the Hausas and the Fulanis on the one part, and then the indigenous on the other part. If you cross that line, in spite of what government is saying, over 400 captives with them. How many happened in Chibok when everybody went up in arms against former President Goodluck Jonathan? One group alone is claiming they have over 400 people at their disposal. And the government should give them 5 billion naira. Watch it. What they've simply done here is they've said, government is going to negotiate. And the negotiators, trust me, and I will say this on public TV, the negotiators always get their kickback. The people who negotiate, all these who are intermediaries with government, they will pay the money. Government will now tell you, oh, we rescued the 400 and something people. They will pay the money.
Well, they will pay the money, but the government will come out to tell us that they rescued the
They will tell you they rescued. Meanwhile, nobody was killed, nobody was injured, nobody was captured, nobody was apprehended.
They will just come out to tell. I mean, we saw that during the Kwara State when they went to the school, Kebbi State, when they went to school to apprehend these girls. And after a few days, they came out to tell us that, oh, I mean, we saw videos of them that they went to rescue the girls, and nobody was apprehended at that moment. And a lot of Nigerians were asking.
We would like to see video of the way they do that, because even in the military, there are people trained to handle cameras. But you don't even need that, or in the with the police force, just a phone. Let us see an operation. Let us see the process of going there, firing, capturing these people. Let's see them escaping and all that. Let's see all the drama.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Victor Ohai.
Just a last word.
Okay.
We salute our military regardless. We salute our police regardless, especially courageous ones. But remember, if you do not do what you should do, including the politicians, your family is not immune. You might think you are immune, but someday what goes around comes around. Do what you need to do, not just for those who you think are poor and helpless in society, but for yourself and for Nigerians. That's what you were voted for.
So, Dr. Victor, also we still have like a few minutes to talk. So at this point, what should Nigerians, I mean, because now what they want, what we Nigerians want is a lasting solution, but we keep seeing different stories. We keep hearing different stories of killings, kidnapping here and there. What should we do now that the government is saying, do not take laws into your hands? Okay.
I'm glad that we're going to the solutions part, because when they said it was time, I just felt. First, I've not seen anybody in recent times who has had the kind of goodwill, apart from Peter Obi in 2023, the kind of goodwill that General Chris Ali, the former Chief of Army, Joint Chief of Staff, enjoyed, and now he's now Minister of Defense. I want to see why people trusted him or why people trust him. I want to see that at play. There's a new Inspector General of Police. Can they for once decide that enough is enough and hold their officers accountable for whatever happens under their command?
Okay.
Listen to me very carefully. Let the Inspector General of Police, the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Army Staff, and all the other heads of the security arms begin to hold people under their command responsible for whatever happens under their watch. If the President holds the IG responsible, the Chief of Army Staff, and they in turn hold the people under them responsible, I think there will be a change. But the problem is, nobody holds anyone accountable. If it happens in Sokoto, the commissioner stays there. If you sack that commissioner, the next one that comes in, something happens under his command, he's sacked. The brigade commander there is sacked. I promise you, security problems will be over in no time.
Dr. Victor, I had a guest over in the studio that said that we Nigerians, we are part of the problems, that we're not being patriotic enough. What would you have to say in terms of insecurity?
I would have liked to hear the context in which he said it, or whether I was speaking as a party apologist, maybe just talking because he feels...
According to him, that we are Nigerians, we do come out all the time, you know, to blame the presidency, blame the governments. That what about we, the country, the people, we the citizens? Are we doing enough? Are we being patriotic?
The people in Plateau who want to protect themselves, are they not doing something? How is it their fault that when people attack them and they want to, even if it's capture some of them to use as evidence to, to present to the forces, the military and the police come in between them, and it says they are responsible. The people who are in the GO vehicle, how are they responsible for what happened to them? How are they responsible for it? I don't understand what the person is saying. Is it our job to carry arms? We have been deprived of carrying arms. How do we protect ourselves? Okay? So I don't get what he's saying. These are the kind of people, I don't wish him bad, but sometimes I'm tempted to wish that Nigeria happens to people like that, and then let them come back to air and then open their mouths and say that we are responsible for what is happening to us.
So the president said Nigerians, if we are not seeing what he's doing, that we would need to get a glass. Glasses, for we to see that he's actually working and trying his best and doing enough.
Mostly, I like to speak to issues. But I would say that that statement was ill-advised. It was insensitive. Because I think that he's not in touch with reality. He's probably surrounded with people who are not telling him the truth. Hunger is real. Insecurity is real. Most of the politicians in Abuja cannot go to their villages. I promise you. They can't. So let him listen, not to the people around him.
Okay.
But he should go to social media and hear what ordinary Nigerians are saying.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Victor Ohai.
Pleasure as always.
Thank you all our viewers for joining our Lagos Network studio for this beautiful on CMI. Our Abuja Network studio is on standby for the continuation on CMI this day.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lena, for that insightful discussion with Victor High. And also, and I'll definitely be starting my discussion from the last question you asked Victor concerning the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where he says, he made a statement that the Nigerians cannot, so probably the opposition cannot see what he's doing. Probably they need to borrow his glasses. And that, in the light of that, you ask yourself, in the last few hours, there's been some sudden decision taken at the federal level that has to do with cabinet reshuffle. We decided to step down two of his ministers, and one of the major ministers is what we can refer to as a super minister, talking about no other person than Wale Edu, who has also been relieved of his duty as the Minister of Finance and also that of Minister of Works and Housing right there. And that also speaks to the statement made by the President. There are some aspects of it that are really helping the masses. Fine, the revenue is on the rise, and also so many things, the ease of doing business is also improving. But the Nigerians are feeling the brunt of some of the policies of government. That an average Nigerian is finding it difficult to be able to live, to even afford 2 square meals, not to talk of 3 square meals. Joining me this morning is no other person than Raji Kolawole, an economist and also a business advisor, how to take a look at the policy of government and the recent cabinet reshuffle that has happened late last night. A wonderful morning to you, Raji.
You too.
Yeah, let's start from the angle of the decision taken by federal government. 2 of the ministers have been told to step aside with decision taken. Oyedele, who was a major person, the protagonist for the tax reform system, has been made a full minister. What do you make of the decision taken by federal government?
The presidency has its reasons for taking certain decisions. Some people will say that maybe one of the reasons were health-based, based on 1 or 2 things that happened in the past concerning Mr. Wale Edu. But concerning performance, I think for me, on a personal level, I think Mr. Wale Edu did tremendously fine. Yes, there might be issues concerning the transmission of macroeconomic gains down to the macro level, but those ones are structural. You as a Minister of Finance might not have full control over it, but on the macroeconomic level, Mr. Wale Edu did pretty well. But the decision leaves.
Let's break this down. When you talk about the macroeconomic level and also we look at the microeconomic level, you talked about the Wale Edu doing wonderfully well. We saw a recent video, I don't know how true is it, that has gone viral about staff of Ministry of Finance celebrating the removal of Wale Edu. And an average Nigerian also talk about the policy of government. The fact that it's difficult for us to be able to afford 3 square meals, the fact that the cost of transportation has gone up, the inflation level has also risen to a new high. Are you saying Wale Edu do well? How do you just oppose this?
Okay, so let me start with your first statement that you made. Yeah. You know, in Nigeria, especially Nigerian civil service, when you're doing something right, you'll be criticized. Most people cannot manipulate you. They will say certain things against you. So when I saw the video that you probably also saw concerning the staff of the ministries jubilating, I won't take that with more than a pinch of salt, knowing the Nigerian politics and the Nigerian civil service how it is. Okay. Now, concerning the macroeconomic gains and the transmission to the macro level, let's look at every country has its macroeconomic objectives. Yeah. The first one is GDP growth, which we call economic growth. The second one is inflation, income inequality, and so many other things. But so let's look. Since Wale Edu became Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Nigeria's economic growth has gone from 2% to 4%. Okay. Inflation has gone from 35% all the way down to 15%. You mentioned that, yes, of recent, inflation has grown up. As of January, it was at 15.06. Now it's at 15.38. And the reason is exogenous to us, not internal. It's majorly because of what is happening in the Middle East and the close of the Strait of Hormuz that is causing those inflationary shocks to us. So it is exogenous, it's not internal. Okay. Now, we look at our foreign reserves. Our foreign reserve under Wale Edu has gone over 50 billion. Wale Edu is the same person that brought up REBOPS to be able to fully optimize government revenue and block leakages. So if you look at all of those things, Wale Edu has done pretty well based on how we know the Nigerian public environment can be like.
Okay, when you're talking about he has done, you just itemize some of the areas which an average Nigerian may not really understand. because they can't really feel those things. But when economists start talking, they can understand where those factors come in. But let's see some of the policies of government that makes Nigeria feel this government has not really been favorable to us, or to some extent, this government is not listening to the yearnings of the masses. Let's talk about the issue of fuel price. We now have a refinery,
a local refinery.
That a lot of people think would have cushioned the effect of what is happening in the Middle East. But unfortunately, the price has gone up from 880 that used to be to 1,300. There was a time they were selling 1,400. But now it's down to 1,300. And we are talking about these things. Is having a local refinery a blessing or even a curse?
It is a blessing. But in Nigeria's case, we have a market issue.
Okay.
When you have a market where you have just very few players or just one player, the player is a price maker, not a price taker.
Okay.
Now, based on what has happened in the Middle East, there have been supply shocks all over the world. But based on the fact that we now have a local refiner, and if you notice, in the past few weeks, the federal government has increased its allocation to the Dangote refinery. So Dangote refinery has been able to help with the supply shocks in the Nigerian local market. If Dangote refinery was not there, you'd probably be having long queues in Abuja right now. But we didn't experience that in Nigeria. So that's a blessing to us.
Okay.
But when you have a dominant player in the market, as I said earlier, is a price maker.
Okay.
And that's what and that's why you see this large price. Yes, there's currency issues there. There's so many other factors.
The price of dollar is going down, which to
but the thing is, the World Bank government, World Bank brought out a report. They brought it up and they took it down. But a lot of people saw it. And they said the price of locally produced fuel in Nigeria is 12% higher than the imported ones.
How do you mean? Break it down.
Okay. So I'm a Total Energy. I'm a corn oil. I go to Ukraine, buy fuel from Ukraine, import it, freight it down to Nigeria, pay the local duty, take it to the distributor or the retailer, and I sell to people. Now they are saying that the cost of in which the oil importer takes to buy that oil and bring it down to Nigeria is 12% lower than the price in which Dangote, the local refinery, is producing and selling to Nigeria.
Is it supposed to be like that? I thought having Dangote is supposed to be a buffer for us, so even reduce to bring down the price of a local fuel.
Yes, but as I said before, it is a market issue.
What could have led to this?
As long as you don't have competition in the market, the player in the market determines or dictates price to the market. And that's what we have. And I guess if you read further what the World Bank was saying, was that we need to bring in some sort of competition into the market.
But we used to have that.
Okay, so
I think we used to have other importers that come in and bring in fuel to sell. And why did it stop all of a sudden? How come Dangote now become the price maker?
Okay, so this is it. As at, I think, early March or late February, the federal government brought out a communique and said that they were stopping issuance of licenses to all marketers.
Wow.
So this gave Dangote the dominant to do everything. So your corn oil that were importing now became just retail distributors for Dangote. They have to get fuel from Dangote to sell at their stations.
Wow. So this make Dangote the major player in the market. But despite this, is there no way government can be able to regulate this so that Dangote could not be able to hold us at the jugular and force us to buy whatever price it is?
Government can regulate, but they cannot determine price.
Why?
Because of the kind of, in a democracy, you don't determine price. If it's an autocratic government, you can control and determine price and say, this is the price that you must set. That's what we call price control. But in a democratic government, you don't do that. At most times, you allow the forces of demand and supply to determine price.
So what has government done about it? Because when you look at this, this is not beneficial to the people. The masses are the one feeling the brunt of this policy, stripping the importers from having the importer license. What has government done about it?
You know, when the government took away the import license, the price of fuel at that time was around 800,
okay,
which was still slightly favorable.
Okay.
The Middle East fight, or the crisis in the Middle East, had not started as at then. And nobody envisaged that it was going to start.
So was that policy expected to have helped Nigeria?
Yes. That was meant to have helped Nigeria, because for a long time, Nigeria is now a net exporter of oil.
Okay.
Unlike before, a few years back, when we produce our crude oil, we sell it out, and we buy refined petroleum products into Nigeria. Even more refined petroleum, we spend more on the refined petroleum products than we made from exporting. But right now in Nigeria, we still sell the crude oil out, and we still sell refined petroleum products out of the country. And right now, we now import less refined petroleum products into the country. So you see that we now take out more, we send out more than the ones that were taken. So it makes us a net exporter.
So how did that now policy now become an
so first of all, let us look at the benefits.
Okay.
Now we have more revenue.
Okay.
Now our FX income increases, and it's already relevant. You can see it already in our foreign reserve. That our foreign reserve is above 50 billion.
Okay.
But the thing about it, they say, is an albatross to us. Once the market is what it is, and the market, as we said, we have said it so many times, is a market in which it's a dominant player. Once that market exists, we will always have what we have. So the way out, which will hack ourselves, first of all, there has to be more players in that market. We're going to have more look coming to the market. Yes, some people might say that why don't you bring up Port Harcourt refinery, Warri refinery? Yeah. For me, I think that's an old conversation. Okay. Yeah. For me, federal government should do away with those refineries and get the best they can get out of it. But encourage more players, more private players to come into that sector. Until then, there has to be some sort of competition for the player in the market. Okay. And that is why we might not give everybody import licenses, but to a certain extent, we have to still continue doing that. Just to be able to create, so there's a level playing everybody.
But you were saying something before I cut you short, and it has to do with the fact that when government came up with the policy of stopping all importers from importing fuel and refined petroleum products into the country, did they envisage there will be a Middle East crisis? And how does that Middle East crisis play a major role in Dangote being able to force up his price and hold us by the jugular?
Okay, so I don't know whether the federal government has insider information, but from my own perspective, I never envisaged. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to me that they were going to attack Iran. So I believe that
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain, which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid risk factor that will make.
So on the macro level, it helps a lot. It helps Nigerians. But the thing about it is that if we have more players, if we had more players in that space, there will be more jobs created in that sector for Nigerians. That's one. There will be more revenue gained. There will be more competition in that sector, which will drive down price. I'll give a typical example. We all remember the telecoms industry in the early 2000s. At one point, to buy just a SIM card, it cost as much as 21,000 naira.
Even 36,000.
36,000 naira. Today, you can get a SIM card for, I think, less than 200, 300,000, 200 naira.
Yeah.
What has drove down that price is the level of competition that is in the market presently. So if we don't get that in the oil market, we would just end up being another cement industry.
Interesting, right there. Looking at what's happening right now. But okay, now let's talk about the the upgraded Minister of Finance, talking about Taiwo Udele. We know him as a tax person.
Yeah.
Now it's because, but when you're in charge of Ministry of Finance, it goes beyond tax. Because you have to look at managing government revenue, looking at what is coming in, gross domestic product, looking at IGR, all those factors. You think Taiwo Udele will make a good minister in the light of but put into consideration its achievement with the tax reform bill?
Putting into consideration his professional career, which has been a successful one from what we have seen. Based on what he has done with the tax reform, I believe he can do the job. Yeah, a lot of people will say that he's a tax person.
Yeah.
Yes. But tax is also part of finance, and I believe that with the level of years of experience he had in PwC and the other place, I think he should be able.
Yeah, but just before we connect to our Benin Network studio, let me just quickly ask you, 2 ministers have been told to have been removed. New ministers will be coming. We're still waiting for the minister. Just quick one on that. Do you think he has done well in little time in office? Minister of Housing.
On the house perspective, I didn't really see anything happen in the housing area. There was no low-cost housing initiative. Okay, there was MRIF. Yes, but I think that was, I'm not so sure whether it was a Ministry of Finance thing or whether it was a Ministry of Housing thing. But even the MRIF, how many people, how many Nigerians, middle-class Nigerians, working-class Nigerians have been able to access the MRIF?
Interesting right there. Talking about the recent decision by federal government to remove 2 ministers, talking about Minister of Finance and also Minister of Housing right there. And I've been talking about particularly taking a look at recent decisions and also the factors that must have been responsible for why government decided to take that decision. And hopefully, let's hope that the new appointed Minister of Finance can be able to hit the ground running, because we don't have time on our hand. Election in 2027, a lot of people are talking about this policy of government. It doesn't have much time on its side. It needs to find policy that can really be able to benefit the masses, that can make the masses feel the policy of government. I must say a big thank you to you for being us this morning and for being able to shed light on this. So much really happening right there. But don't forget that it's the Founders Day, 29th anniversary of Independent Television and Radio, and we have special package for you this morning. But let me quickly link up with our Benin studio as we continue the conversation.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
ITV, certainly the best.
The Ugewe is the final ceremony of the series of festivals. It is one of peace and lightheartedness, following the more solemn of the ritual year. Ugewe is the festival of the Ewe leaves, a symbol of good luck and joy. It is the most popular of all that heralds the dawn of a Benin New Year. New vow, newness of life and freshness of life, and a new hope for the future. In the evening, the Ewe leaves are presented to the Oba of Benin in grand style in a colorful ceremony. The Ihogbe society, amidst singing and dancing, bring the sacred leaves that symbolize good luck, blessings, peace, and prosperity. Each of the senior members of the Ihogbe proceeds to give the sacred leaves directly to the Oba of Benin, and others put theirs at his feet.
Many thanks once again for rejoining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. Of course, we're in the mood of celebration. The big day is tomorrow.
But let me give you this background. In 1992, following the deregulation of the NBC, ITV broke the monopoly of government broadcasting by setting the pace for private media practice in Nigeria, as it acquired the first license for a private TV station with 001 as a registration number. That was on 26th of June in 1992, following the presentation by the then military president, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. The station followed that with the full transmission launch on the 27th of March, 1993. And today, we're looking at 29 years and the journey of private broadcast, and still counting. A lot has been done and achieved, and of course, the station went to a different pedestal in the private media broadcast with the coming on board of our indefatigable managing director, engineer Elvis Obaseki, who has been in the saddle for 3 years. We've seen tangible, feelable, touchable transformation. So today on the show, we're looking at the journey so far this past 29 years. And our guest is the managing director of ITV and Radio, engineer Elvis Obaseki. It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, my brother. It's an honor sharing the screen with you this morning, Sonny.
Absolutely.
And there could have been a better time to do this than today. And I felt we can't be celebrating 29 years after if we don't talk to those that have kept us on for the past 29 years. And to quickly correct you, I've been here for more than 4 years.
Over 3 years, actually.
Over 4 years.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. All right, I won't be doing this alone. My colleagues from our Abuja Network Studio, as well as from our Lagos Network Studio, will be joining this conversation. And of course, Messalina is on standby in Lagos, and Tolu is on standby in Abuja. But let me get started with you. It was about a vision by a single individual in private TV broadcast, which wasn't a norm at the time. But following the deregulation, ITV got the broadcast license 001, becoming the first private TV station in Nigeria. That's the vision of our chairman emeritus. You want to give us your insights on that?
I think we should set that pace very right and correctly. That the Esama of Benin, in all he does, he blazes the trail. He does, and he steps into new vistas where no other person has ever gotten to. In a private ownership of universities, he blazed the trail, and he became the numero uno licensee for private universities, and also in the area of aviation. He became the first Nigerian to also run that. So ITV couldn't have been different. And 29 years down the line, I can feel very proud, and I know you are also having to be part of the dream. And this dream has now birthed more things. And we're now saying, every time we have to celebrate this anniversary, we have to put the discourse before Nigerians on the Nigerian project. We are all Nigerians. This business is in Nigeria, and Nigerians are working on this project. Why don't we, every year when we have to celebrate the anniversary of our broadcast outfit, let's discuss the Nigerian project. And that is what we're doing again this year. And I will always say this, the dream was that of a visionary, but the reality of that dream has become too big, so big, and we all have a huge responsibility to keep it going. He's just sitting down, relaxing, and looking at his dream, at his vision, become so big a project. How will you feel? At least ITV as at today with more than 250 staff. You can't wish a platform like that away, and you can't but give credit to the man whose dream birthed this great project.
How would you describe the impact of ITV in the broadcast space, on governance, and of course on the community, particularly the people, in terms of the opportunity to ventilate their views? We have a dominant, presence in the South-South, nationally and globally.
I'll first of all look at that impact nationally. It opened a different vista in broadcasting. First of all, the independence in the platform, and the fact that it came out in a military regime, when the world would be scared to even open your mouth to speak. Let's not forget that the democracy we enjoy today is a product of the activism, of the resistance and the resilience of platforms like this in the early 90s. So today, if we have to first of all look at it from that angle. If there were no other voices outside the government-owned platforms to speak, who would have spoken for the Nigerian people? And coming back home to the relevance of ITV in the scheme of things, you can't go to anywhere in the South-South and ITV is not in front. And you can't even go anywhere in Nigeria. I can say this. We have the largest community reportage and followership amongst the top TV stations in Nigeria. If you look at what we give out every evening in terms of news, you're sure to have close to 40% of our news coming from our immediate communities around the Edo and Delta axis. I don't think there is any other broadcast outfit that can boast of that in Nigeria in terms of community followers. And don't forget, it is about the people.
Fantastic. Let's link up with Abuja Network Studio, where Tolu is on standby. Tolu, our boss is ready to get the first shot from you as we have this conversation on ITV at 29. The big day is tomorrow, the Founders Day celebration. A lot will be happening. Tolu?
Okay, it says something that's very, very germane and we cannot run away from. It's the fact that ITV has been able to set the trail. But another major thing, you mentioned something when you were asking him, you talked about in the South-South, we seem to be able to hold our ground. And also the fact that an average person from the South-South see ITV. How do you also translate that to other parts of the country? What are his plans to make that also possible? The ITV, every Nigerian, see independent television their own. And what are your plans to be able to take us to the Eldorado?
Thank you, Tolu. First of all, you are a product of the spread of ITV. Because you are not speaking from the South-South, you're speaking from the North-Central and the capital city of Nigeria. The beauty of technology today has taken away the borders and the limitations of the reach of your signals. Today we can say we can broadcast on over the internet, we can broadcast on, I think we are now on the free TV, we can broadcast on the satellite platforms. These are platforms without borders and without reach. As of today, aside our strong presence in the South-South, which is prized and very much treasured followership, we've been able to spread our tentacles that we can now. I'll be speaking with Mercy from Lagos Axis, and you know in Nigeria, if Lagos does not buy, Nigerians won't buy. And when Lagos produces, the whole of the world, the whole of Nigeria buys. ITV is well and fully grounded in Lagos, and Mercy will be joining us from Lagos this morning. So our spread is not just the South-South, but we can't take away the fact that we have built our tentacles in the South-South and our taproot is deep down here. You must have a base, and as our people say, a masquerade does not dance in the marketplace without, first of all, trying the steps at home. We are good and we are home in the South-South, but our spread nationally. Today we can say at least Abdul joins us from Kanu every other day. Umma is joins us from, Umma Mohammed joins us from Kaduna almost every other day. And if we go down south, I can tell you this is a growing project, and the expansion is massive. What we have in Abuja today is something we're all proud of. And Tolu, I'm happy that you are speaking to me this morning from our Abuja station. So you are a product of our spread, and that spread is intentional. And you know very well that the last 4.5 years has been with an intentionality like no other, because what is the mandate? Getting ITV to every corner of Nigeria. We're a Nigerian station, but with a global perspective. Yeah. A Nigerian spirit with a global perspective. And we must take the news to all the nooks and crannies.
Okay, so that's what's next on the ITV platform, as a matter of fact. So let's hear from you, Ms. Selina.
All right, beautiful morning to you, Engineer Elvis Obasaki, and then I'm delighted to share the screen with you this beautiful morning. It's a good thing ITV is celebrating 29 years. I've known ITV since I was a child, and I would say that the station is growing by the day, and we're moving forward. I mean, in the South and, you know, in Edo State and Delta State, we would be proud to say that ITV is one of the best TV stations. I'm not saying this because I'm working here, but I'm just saying it because it's the reality. So, Engineer Elvis Obaseki, as we celebrate 29 years, how is ITV positioning itself for the next generation of viewers who are more digitally inclined?
Thank you very much. I know you just asked that on behalf of the constituency.
That she belongs to.
Mercy should have asked, you should have rephrased your question to say, how is ITV preparing to entertain us?
Yes.
Because you, first of all, joining us in Lagos, one of the things we went out for was to get the Gen Z in. If you notice, we are having a huge population of the Gen Zs on our airspace. I think that should be an intentional attempt to bring that very important community who unfortunately are no longer in front of the TV screen.
Absolutely.
So now what we are also doing, we are moving towards the handhelds, because that is where that population is. And also don't forget that the advertiser, especially the big ones, are also creating so much budgets to accommodate those that are only accessing television content through the handhelds. So we cannot be left behind in terms of a progression in growth towards accommodating that very important class of the society. Demographics gave us about 63 to 65% of the populace of the country falling within that very mobile an active, energetic age. ITV can't be left behind. We are creating content for you, and I'm happy that you, that is even asking the question, Messina that is asking the question, aside having to speak on our flagship program in the morning on TMI, she also has a Gen Z program that she's anchoring. The two Gen Z programs that she's anchoring. Yeah. And you are also on our flagship news in the evening. So the accommodation of the Gen Zs is with serious intentionality, and we can point to the fact that we have, I don't think, if you look at 6 casters from Abuja and about 7 from Benin, and the 2 we have in Lagos, I think only about 2 persons or 3 persons could be above 40 on that. Ari, the old man that is talking to me this morning, is one of the 3 that could be above 40. And I think Philip, yourself, Philip. And no, Wilson. Okay, no, but Wilson is in Gen Z.
Wilson is not Gen Z. Wilson can be Gen Z.
Wilson is in Gen Z. No, Philip is close to Gen Z in attitude, but an old man in age. So we can accommodate Philip. So, Messina, you have to understand that we have you and your constituency in our plans, because that is where the advertisers are also gravitating towards.
All right, tomorrow is the big day. I mean, we will have all eyes will be on Iswa Hub tomorrow for the Founders Day lecture proper, where we keep asking the same question every year. Quo vadis, where are we going? Give us insight into them. Because I know also that before you came on board, the celebration didn't take this dimension. So what informed the decision, as it were?
Okay, I think the concept came from the fact that we had to understand what we were managing. ITV is a broadcast platform. With so much followership, his voice cannot be ignored. And that platform we have seen as a veritable tool to speak to the Nigerian project. And that is why that question has remained over the years. Nigeria quo vadis. Nigeria quo vadimus. Where are we going? This is an ongoing project. We can't be a thriving business in a country that is not at peace, in a country that is not secured, and a country that does not have that exponential to grow economically. So these are the things we've looked at. And if you looked at those that have spoken on that stage for the past 4 years, we've had our regulator, the former DG of NBC, Mr. Emeka Mba, he opened it up. We've had a vice chancellor of a Nigerian university, Professor Sonny Adagbonyi, he spoke to it. And we've had a firebrand regulator in the Nigerian and electoral management space, Mr. Mike Igini, he spoke to it. And we now looked at it again and said, why don't we do a reset? Let the practitioner. There is nothing in this country that does not dwell or revolve around politics and political policies of government. We brought the firebrand senator, Senator Adams Oshomole, who was on the stage last year to speak to it. And this year, the button was not, the satellite was now beamed on the economic sector. So we're bringing a man that has been a former MD of a bank, a man that has been a former group executive director of a multinational oil company, and today runs a thriving oil and servicing company, and he has also ventured into the academia by being a former chairman of the governing council of a state university. That is how we came on, and we pinpointed as a, let's give this opportunity to Chief Lawson Omokodyon to share with us from his experience as an economist, as a banker, as an oil and gas, and you know Nigeria's mainstay is oil and gas, and not from the political angle. Okay. Come, let's speak to this. And in discussing this, we also went out of our way to pick a broad, an array of panelists. One from the academia, a professor and a dean of the Faculty of Media and Communicative Studies in the University of Benin. Professor Okaku is coming in to speak from the academia. We have the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, who we all know is political from the beginning to the end. Everything about Kazim Afegwa is politics. So we are bringing him to Kazim come speak on, and I call the only female on the panel a professional in politics. She holds an MBBS with a specialty in obstetrics and gynecology, but she has veered into politics. And that is Dr. Mrs. Loretta Ogboro. She's coming in. Then the man we have to moderate this panel is somebody that I will call a man with so many parts. He has risen so high in Nollywood in content creation to have been the president of the Nigerian Guild of Directors. He has risen in the banking sector to have been an investment banker. He is also on an advisory board of several awards in the entertainment industry. I said, okay, why don't we bring? And at the time, I know Victor contested the presidency of this country. I know sometimes you get fed up and say, no, let me just
let me just go into it and change things myself.
He will be moderating the panelist section. So our thoughts, by taking this anniversary away from just any other day, is to make our relevance, our importance, and the strategic position of the media in the discourse as regards the Nigerian project to be felt. And ITV feels this could be a better way and the best way to contribute to the Nigerian discourse. And I think I have hope that there will be a better Nigeria.
Okay. Tolu, I know you're still on standby. Let's switch over to you now.
I'm really impressed with the lineup of what we have for tomorrow, talking about the Founders Day conference. Really interesting to have this thing. But looking at what you have done, what are some of the things that you also want the viewers to take away from this conference we're having? And when you look at the roll calls of people that we have, what are some of the things that you want the viewers and also our followers to take away from this conference?
Sincerely, we've always been talking. But I think this is another opportunity to see how the talk can be, how we can walk the talk. That is why we involved government via the Information Commissioner and via an appointee of government who is handling the diaspora community. One of the first things that the governor, Mondo Kwebolo's administration did was a step out to get diaspora involvement in his government via investments. And we decided to pick the arrowhead behind that project, speak to it, so that at least at the end of this discourse, some of the things that will come out of it. I always use myself as an example. Whenever I go into meetings, when things are said, I take notes. Immediately I leave that meeting, I ask myself, where can I and how can I apply this into what I am doing? Because Nigeria is a work in progress, and if you are fortunate to be one of those managing any sector of this country, nothing should be wished away. And I am very, very positive that having Kazim Afegbo and having Loretta on that panel tomorrow, something good that could be taken out of it will get to the government of the day. And you know our governor does not allow any space go without telling you that he has the ear of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So I don't think what we'll be having tomorrow will not get to the corridors of power to see how it can be implemented.
All right, we'll go over to Lagos studio. Ms. Elena, I know you're on standby. Can we hear from you again?
All right, Engineer Elvis Obaseki-Dean, the Managing Director of Independent Television and Radio. How do you envision ITV in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years to come?
Mercy, I think the way you package your involvement this morning, you are really speaking to the future. My dream of ITV, firstly, we will be moving into full participation in digital space. Now the DSO, the digital switch over project of the federal government has taken a serious traction. At the last board meeting, we saw when the DG of the NBC presented the footprints and the plans towards the transition. And if that happens, that is going to open the business up from a different angle. And I always say this, unfortunately I have to say this in public space. We are fortunate in the broadcasting industry today because we are having somebody who is an investor in the industry as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So he feels the pain. Yeah. He knows how it is. TVC belongs to the president. And he must have been getting reports on how things are going on the platform. A first-hand information. And I think it will be in this era that the transition will be very swift and it will be faster than we've had in the past. And I know ITV is geared to explain its own part. And we will not just be a crowd follower. We are going to be trailblazers. Nothing that Isama Bini does, that he does not do it in an exemption, in an exemplary manner. And we don't have any other option than to key into that vision and make it happen.
Fantastic and well said. Let's talk about the broadcast industry. Of course, you know, we are an integral part of it. What are your perspectives on the current challenges facing the broadcast industry, and what are your key recommendations from your experiences, from your engagements and interactions?
One of the biggest challenges that we are facing, it affects every other person, is the energy issue. For us to run our transmitters and run our studios, you know what you have to spend on energy. If the power system in the country is okay, we will not have to run our generators for 24 hours. And once that gen is on, you know that gas is being burned. If this is addressed, a huge of investments will move away from the energy line and come into human capital development and training and retraining.
Okay.
That is a major challenge.
Okay.
Another thing is the fact that the industry is within the Nigerian environment. So any thriving company that could, I said ITV, we have more than 250 staff.
Okay.
And we make sure that salaries are paid as and when. And having to do that, you have to make so many other things suffer.
Okay, now before we let you go, quickly, what is your take on this seeming strong competition between the traditional media and the digital media? Against the background that for most people like you rightly identified, the attention is more on digital media platforms.
Regulation is just the only problem. Regulation. By the time you are able to regulate the digital space, or what you call the social media, as well as the regulation that you have on the conventional media, there will be a meeting point. Because there are so many things that are sent out on the social media space that can't go on the conventional media space. So if there is some level of regulation, I think both spaces will be able to work tangentially, and at the end of the day, the viewers get informed, and we don't sometimes disinform or misinform, because that is what you see from the social media space. And because of the misinformation and disinformation and the sensationalism that goes on there, there is always the gravitation towards that end. There are some things I can't allow go on the screen in ITV because first of all, we have to verify. We have to fact check, and we have to be sure that what you're putting on air is true. But the social media space, as it comes, they pull up. There are some things. I will take the case of the GUO accident that happened, robbery case that happened about 2 days ago at Ore and Benin.
Yeah, it's all over social media.
All over social media in the raw form.
Yeah.
Gory pictures sent out in the raw form. You can have that in the
traditional media, conventional media. Let's link up with Tolu. Tolu, quickly. Tolu, quickly go ahead with your question before we go for the news. Tolu. Okay, Tolu is going to respond.
Thank you so much for this. Talk to you on some of the major issues. A quick one right there. I also want to talk about the venue, social media. I know you are about this. How do the traditional media be able to when you take on the channel to social media in order to continue to survive? Are you also not worried about this?
Tolu, I didn't get you clearly.
Tolu, could you repeat the question? It wasn't too clear what you asked. Tolu, could you repeat the question? I think we have a bit of a glitch there.
I think Tolu has been cut off.
Yes, have a bit of a glitch there. Okay, so on the final note, what are your expectations tomorrow?
We are ready, and I know those that we've invited and those that will be on the stage and on the podium tomorrow are set. I will only appeal to Nigerians that will be making us pay time to join us tomorrow to come in early.
Okay.
10, and least by 12:30 we should be out of the hall.
Okay.
And I will say thank you to all the management and staff of ITV for keeping the flag flying. And the eternal thanks goes to the visionary and our founder, the chairman of Independent Television and Radio, Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osawa Igbinedion, for giving us a platform like this to ventilate. I say thank you, and I say thank you to our viewers that have kept us, and our listeners that have kept us in business.
And our Deputy Vice Chairman.
Oh yeah, to our Deputy Vice Chairman, who has pushed us from all angles, pushed us really bad from all angles, and his support has been tremendous. We're having a state-of-the-art admin block being put up by him. What used to be a bungalow of about 20 rooms is now turned into a story building of about 30 rooms and an amphitheater. There could be no other way to say, go, do it right, and hit it
and conquer the world.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Elvis Obaseki, Managing Director, ITVN Radio, giving us insight into what's coming up tomorrow. Founders Day, 29th Founders Day lecture is going to be happening at the Hizwa Hub, 85 Airport Road, opposite Glass House, Benin City. We'll take a short break for the news update. Please stay.
We apologize for the break in transmission. Welcome to the news update on Independent Television. I am Ikoy Davis. Rotary Club Areas 27 and 31 have held their annual club officers learning seminar for 2026 at Coastal Hotels off Ihama Road, GRA, Benin City. Joy Obarsiadman reports that the event held on 17th April 2026 was organized simultaneously to equip leaders
The Joint Officers Learning Seminar recorded active participation with breakout sections focusing on enhancing leadership capacity, strengthening club administration, and improving club officers' collaboration. Facilitators include past assistant governors Rotarian Edo Osage and Charles Otete, including Assistant Governor Designate Elizabeth Ativie, amongst others.
It's disheartening to know that some presidents don't even know how to go to my lodge. So that's the first thing you must learn. You must learn how to go to my Rotary, how to use my Rotary, and how to do your reporting, and how to update your goal. Your goal is not cast on stone.
Officers, start working towards your dues. Before July 1st, ensure that you have already paid your dues. So if you pay your dues, complete 100%, you can use that to offset your first semi-annual dues. These are strategies and it's a key that I'm giving to you, how to succeed in your year.
I want all of us to take Rotary Community Corps very serious. Anywhere you take a project to, make sure that you charter a Rotary Community Corps in that community.
Some leaders and executive members described the sessions as fruitful and interactive.
It has been very, very educating. They have been energized to go and prepare to work. Because Rotary is work, service above self.
In attendance were President-elect and all club officers, assistant governors, past assistant governors, and coordinating AGDs, representing a total of 8 Rotary clubs from areas 27 and 31. From Benin, Joy Obaisiagbon, ITV News.
Natives of Ogbesan community in Ovia North-East local government area Edo State have called on the state government and security agencies to urgently intervene and restore peace in their community following recent attacks allegedly carried out by suspected criminals. Oluwafemi Farayola has details.
Ogbesan community along Igobazwa Road was recently attacked by gunmen in a Sena vehicle, shooting indiscriminately with many sustaining injuries while others scrambled for safety in a nearby bush. Spokesperson for the natives of Ogbesan community who took their protest to the Edo State House of Assembly, Ebel Okoro, said the latest attack was against the former Okaigele and his cohorts who were removed from the office by the Odionwere for fraudulent acts but allegedly went to connive with neighboring community to annex Ogbesan. Okoro said while the Odionwere and other natives of Ogbesan community fled due to incessant attacks, the sacked Okaigele tried to ride on the situation to return to the community, and luck ran against him as those he connived with to annex the community attacked them. The protesters expressed concern over what they described as a growing wave of violence and insecurity in the area, claiming that several properties worth millions of naira have been destroyed. They called on the Edo State government and security agencies to urgently complete their investigation and restore peace so they can return to their community.
2 years ago, we were living in peace without obstruction and anything. All of a sudden, we found out that Igosho the Nebudi just invaded our community, that we don't exist anymore. They alleged that the palace secretary gave them a document that Ogbeson does not exist. Those people that are dragging land with us now, we gave them land. Then this is another palace judgment of 1996 that came out that Ogbeson is an autonomous community and that they should be left without molestation and everything. After the palace gave us the document of 1996, our people was very kind enough to run to Observer to thank the Omonoba. So I wonder how a letter that was given to them 2024 cannot say that a document of 1977 does not exist anymore. So we want justice. Some of these suspects have been arrested. Pump passion gun was recovered. Some bullet was picked up. So we want them to be charged to court. For 2 years, old men like this have not been able to get into their community.
They also appealed to the state government and relevant security agencies to deploy personnel to the area and ensure safety of lives and property. Oluwafemi Farayola, ITV News.
The case on leadership tussle by the Edo State Tipper Drivers Association suffered another setback on Tuesday following the inability of counsel to the defendants to file application on time. Pius Nsogo has details.
During the last adjournment of the case, the Federal High Court in Benin City had directed parties involved to substantiate their claims in the ongoing case involving 2 aggrieved chairmanship aspirants, Fred Unwose and Victor Osenwige, and the current chairman, Comrade Osaro Aigbekan, over the October 17, 2024 election of the Edo Tipper Drivers Leadership Tussle. Counsel to the plaintiff, Barrister Chris Otasowe, said the third defendant brought application to regularize their defense. claims, which copy he only received while at the court. He said, having been done with their pleading, it will require just 3 days for hearing to commence.
Said defendant counsel, which is application to regularize offense in an association election matter. So we are done with our pleadings. We have to file a reply. But if we file a reply within time, the hearing is to commence and it's to be done within 3 consecutive days that the court has granted.
Counsel to the defendant, Barrister Leo Osawage, also gave his own side of what transpired in the courtroom.
We filed our statement of defense. We just brought that in today. So the matter was now adjourned for hearing of their case because they are the ones who are the claimants, and so they will present their witnesses on the next dates of hearing.
After the argument from parties involved, the presiding judge, Justice Chika Obiazo, adjourned the case to 11th, 20th, and 25th of May 2026 for a continuous hearing. From Benin, Pius Nsogo, ITV News.
And this is where we'll call it a wrap on the news update on Independent Television. Thank you so much for watching. I am Ihoy Davis. Good morning.
ITV, certainly the best.
And I am Marcelina Umko. When we talk about trending stories making waves on social media, and of course to get to hear people's reaction about each story. So our first story we saw where the Lagos CP Tijani Fatai tells Nigerians you're not allowed to record, you're allowed, to record officers. Police can search your phone. I mean, this has gotten different reactions because according to Nigerians, we've heard this particular story several times, and the police keep searching our phones. Now he has made it clear that if the police officers are trying to search your phones, you can record them. And of course, it has gotten misreactions and different reactions from different people. Let's take a look at the reactions. All right, this person says, knowing your right is one thing, enforcement is another. Accountability is what makes the difference. Let's take a look at another reaction. Saying you are allowed to record officers is good, but let's be honest, right on paper don't allow protests people in practice. Until police culture changes, many Nigerians will still fear retaliation for exercising that right. Let's take a look at another reaction. This user says that is a strong public accountability signal for the Lagos CP. It reinforces two important principles: citizens' rights to record public officers on duty and the need for lawful procedures when it comes to searches, especially digital privacy. If consistency enforced, it could help improve transparency and reduce abuse of power. But the retest will be how it applies applied in practice on the streets. Let's take a look at another reaction. This other user, Gertson, says, all what the Lagos State Police CP is saying is just on paper. The activities of Nigerian police on the road is extremely shameful. Their major primary objective is to exalt people, most especially the motorists and the Okada riders. Let's take a look at another reaction. Jude says, we have been hearing this for a long time now, but not enforced, just on papers. Okay, that is for that. We're still on TMI Socials. We'll talk about people's reaction on a particular story. So we saw a video on the internet circulating where the NDG of Plateau State just said they came out protesting and calling for the immediate exit of Nigerian military personnel from their community following continuous attack by Fulani militants despite military development. They also demand the release of their youth arrested for defending themselves against this terrorist. We are tired, according to them. I mean, if you're not able to protest us, then go. And we've been seeing a couple of reactions. Persons are saying, do you people think this is the right decision to take, or this is the right way to go? I mean, at the same time, these people are tired. They just want a lasting solution to insecurity. Take a look at the videos before we go to the reaction. All right, let's take a look at the reactions. This user says, funny enough, the checkpoint is right there. My question is, how do these people pass through? Are the military personnel asleep, or do these people have another route they used to enter? Let's take a look at another reaction. This other user says, send them away. They are sabotaging your communities. True military personnel are meant to defend and protect citizens. These ones are whosoever deployed them are working for Boko Haram. Chase them. They are informant to the wicked. Let's take a look at another reaction. This other person said, protect citizens. The response late. The citizen protect themselves. You respond swiftly to arrest citizen protecting their lands. It is like saying, we shouldn't protect our land, but wait to get killed. Meanwhile, constitutionally, we reserved rights to defend ourselves. All right, let's take a look at another reaction. This other user says, angry protests against the Nigerian military in Plateau while Fulani attacks persist. That is ironic. Troops aren't perfect, but pulling them out invites more chaos. Focus on stopping the killers and not the responders. Okay, that is for that. This order user says people in Plateau want the military out. After Fulani attack continue without troops, things would get worse. Blaming the army instead of the actual killers shows misplaced anger, not solution. Okay, this other user, Prosper King, says, heartbreaking actually. Still, we must pray for our honest battalions in the forest. They are getting killed. They don't have a choice. In the military, there's an organized structure. The principle of obey the last command. We can't entirely fault the troop. God be with them. Okay, that is for that. Our last story for today. We saw a man that went to, his 3 children was kidnapped, and he bailed them. He paid the ransom. He paid 60 million naira. And this video has gotten a lot of people talking. I mean, you kidnap ordinary Nigerians, and this terrorists and these bandits, they're asking for 30, 40, 50 million naira. I mean, some of all these people, they do not even have food to eat. Some manage to pay, while some are not able to pay the ransom. Take a look at this video that have been, trending on social media before we take a look at the reaction.
60 million naira for 3. 8 million. Muhammad Rasulullah. 8 million you pay for 3 children. 3 children. What you those people they carry this money? Sorry, sir.
The issue of insecurity has been a major problem, and we cannot wait for it to end. What are the government doing to curb insecurity? I mean, we saw the GO that happened in the Benin-Lagos Expressway, and we've been seeing a couple of kidnapping and all of that. And those people, they are not requesting for small money. They're requesting for huge amount of money from the citizen. Let's take a look at the reaction. All right, this person, Emmanuel, says, I have seen people kidnapped. This is the height of being broken, and it will take only God's grace and psychological therapy for redemption from such trauma. There is no reason with terrorists to wonder why. Let's take a look at another reaction. All right, the maker says, Nigeria will not just test your patience, but it will break your heart. Imagine a man having 3 of his children in captivity. How did we get here? This must stop. Let's take a look at another reaction. Ekene says, unbelievable, bandits now have a functioning business model in Nigeria while the government sleeps. Let's take a look at another reaction. This other user says, Nigerians need to stand up together against this. Don't wait until it touches your family. If 1 million Nigerians rise up against kidnapping today, government will have no choice than to do something. Interesting. Let's take a look at this reaction. Darlington says, to the people asking what do these terrorists use the ransom money for? Bro, they use the money to buy more ammunition to keep terrorizing the country. Interesting. This is really, really sad. Trust me. We cannot wait. Nigerians cannot wait for a lasting solution to insecurity in the country. All right. Thank you for joining our Lagos studio or on TMI socials this morning. Our Benin Network studio is on standby.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. Thank you so much, Mercy, for those wonderful reports on TMI Social. But something is really bugging my mind and news like the bandits, the kidnappers, the terrorists. It's just like they've established this kind of an act as a business.
It's now becoming a lucrative business, and it shouldn't be so. But
3 children, 60 million?
That's a lot. And how would they be able to even afford it? That's another big question. Can they afford it? It's really sad. And I think we've moved past from when it's just for the big men and those elites, those who have money. Right now, anybody. Call members, normal civilians are all at risk, and we really need to get past all of this moving forward, especially as we move towards the 2027 election. But let's not forget that Senator Akpabio did say, the Senate President said, you might just be shocked that after the election, 2 weeks after the election, all of the insecurity in Nigeria would stop. Well, which way Nigeria?
Which way Nigeria, really? Remember, yes, our MD was on the ground right here in the studio talk about the Founders Day, 29 years of broadcasting excellence. It's like going to be wow tomorrow. Yeah. So he has given us what the public should expect and what we are dishing out to them tomorrow and beyond. ITV in the past, present, and what next. So what should we be expecting right now?
We're expecting a lot. We're 29 years. I'm pretty sure some of the Gen Zs were really not born after that period. I'm trying to calculate. Anyway, we'll leave it.
Well, from what Mercy said, she was a baby. Mercy, don't hold that against me. You said it. You said you were a baby watching ITV. Oh, ITV. Well, it's okay. We are so happy that we are 29 and tomorrow is going to be time for celebrating the Founders Day. We want you to be there. You know, the venue is your hub. Airport Road. Yeah, just be there for you to get to hear how we were giving birth to our mission. Yes, and what should be expecting from ITV from now henceforth. Well, that's it on today's edition of This Morning on ITV. From all the network studios, we're saying have a wonderful Wednesday ahead. Bye for now.